The family members turn out highly effective, highly productive, powerful individuals that make great members of the community that we want as neighbors, so that when your hair is silver and white like mine, you're not micromanaging the next generation. You're sitting in your lawn chair and they come to you for counsel and advice, but they're running it without you. And that is glorious. Hi, this is Rick Durfee. Today we're going to talk about the family office. Most people conceive of a family office as something you do when you have enough money, but the causation is actually the other way around. You don't wait until you have enough money to do a family office. If you do a family office, you'll have the money. So we're going to look at the process from conception to what you structure to implementation and then making it real and integrating it into your family. We're going to give you a guide and we're going to go from A to Z all the way and help you understand what a family office really is. Level 1 is something you do not need to spend money on legal fees or accounting fees or go buy a product. It's something you do in your family with whoever they are. Start, if you're married, with your spouse. If you have children, start with your children. Elevate the family's awareness. Talk about money. Parents sometimes want to shield their children from all the issues that arise. We have debts or bills that we're having trouble paying, or we've had this unexpected expense. But because they don't talk about money, their family members are uninformed. And then the structure of their finances is they may have a retirement plan at work and they have a little bit of savings account over here, and it's all over the place. And when the person who knows where all those things are goes, either through death or disability or for whatever reason, that knowledge is lost and the family's left with this mess and they have to figure it out. The lack of financial knowledge and sophistication and awareness of what's going on in the family is one of the reasons for the 3 or 4 generational wealth cycle where money is made, consumed, lost, and destroyed, and the family has to start over and they keep going around and around in this endless cycle of wealth. If you're going to break that cycle, the family has to have a culture and a safe place where finances can be discussed, a process for discussing finances and a venue for doing so, which is why one of the things we advocate for is the family council. This family council ought to be an event where everybody is present. It's good to have a venue, a consistent venue. We know that every month on this day at this time, this is when we can bring up these issues. So as they come up throughout the days of the weeks, we know that, we're going to be able to talk about this at that time. It's good to have an agenda. What are we going to talk about? What kind of things should we address? And by the way, this is some of the resources that we're going to give you in the guide that's available at the end of the video here. Candidly, it's in the family council where children are best able to learn what a balance sheet is, what an income statement is, how the financial statements work together, and what it means if a change on one document, what does it do to the other document, and how all that goes. And I want to give you an example, a simple example that maybe I've shared on some other videos. So many years ago, when one of my sons was about 10 years old, I had an old car. I was thinking, wow, this car's bad. I need to get rid of it. I need to get a new one. So I took my 10-year-old on a drive. And I started to express this to him. I talked about how the car was old, how it was costing more money to maintain than it was worth. And we talked for a long time about the pros and cons of keeping the old one and fixing it or getting a new one and whether or not that was a good idea. And over again, I asked him, what do you think? What's your opinion? And he learned a couple of things that he could think, that he did think, in fact, and that he had an opinion and that I listened to that and cared about it. And when we made that decision, we made it collectively. So he participated in it and owned it. When we got the new car, he actually treated it with more respect because he had a sense of its value, its cost, and the effort that went into deciding whether or not to get that car. Having those kind of dialogues between parent and child early on is crucial if you want to have multi-generational wealth and have the wealth be a happy, positive thing in your family and not a force for destruction. The second level that we're going to talk about now, this is phase 2, is you probably want a legal structure with a legal structure that you own. And typically, what I like to start with is a management company, a company controlling all the business enterprise and the investment activities and the accounting and the finances and all the things that are going on in the family. Typically, we have this LLC taxed as a corporation, more often than not as a C Corp, because there are things that a C Corp can do that other entities can't. This family office structure most of the time should not own things. Let me clarify. It can own expenses, so it might own cars, it might own liabilities, but it's not going to own the investments or the going concerns or the rental properties. Those kinds of things are going to be owned in what we call the family bank. What happens in the family office is control and expenses and tax deductions. So the family office and the family bank kind of work side by side. The family office has control, the family bank has equity. So you have this LLC taxed as a C Corp, it's a management company, and it should have periodic business meetings, which should be documented appropriately. There's a little bit of compliance that needs to happen with this. It's also important to note, when we form this family office as a legal entity, going out and doing a cheap online naked LLC is not going to be adequate. It's not going to cut it. It's not going to give you the protection or the tax attributes that you want and need for this to be fully functional. The LLC has to have more than just the bare naked articles that you file with the state where you organize it. It needs a robust operating agreement, which has devices built into it that keeps the bad guys out. A lot of people don't realize that one of the mechanisms that protects an LLC from the predatory plaintiffs that want to sue you and take all your stuff is the language of the operating agreement that, for example, restricts new members from coming in and has barriers for new owners getting in, so that those opportunistic people out there can't just come in and grab your family office and take it away from you. So it's got to be fully documented, and that documentation includes operationally regular minutes of meetings and compliance on a state and federal level, so that the entity is always in compliance with the governing authority. If you come out of compliance with the governing authorities, you lose the protection, you lose the tax benefits, you lose the multi-generational benefits of the device in your family. Okay, so what's the third level? First level is talking about it, creating a culture in your family, a safe space where we can talk about money. Second level is, okay, we're going to create a legal entity where now we have a device where we can do this stuff. Level 3 is, we're going to actually do stuff. This is where, guess what? You're going to have an operating account. You're going to have officers. You're going to define roles, who's doing what, who is keeping track of the books and records, who is managing the properties. And by the way, with a family office, if you have multiple family members, you can say, this family member manages that property, another family member manages that other one over there, this one controls this business enterprise, that one controls that business enterprise. Or if there's not talent within the family pool, you bring in outsiders. And this is where the outsiders, the investment advisors, the insurance advisors, the legal advisors, the accounting advisors, instead of you being owned by them, they work for you, and their duty of loyalty is to you. And you can fire them if they don't do a job that's suitable or appropriate or that meets your needs. It shifts the perspective of everybody, including you. Then you can evaluate this from a business perspective. Is this working? Are we getting a return on our investment for what we're putting into these professionals that work for us? And all of that can be centralized in the family office, where the family comes together in a family council, and the family council operates kind of like a board of directors or a board of trustees or a board of governors that set policy, that set objectives and goals, and that hold all the officers and directors operating the management company, the family office, accountable to the values and objectives and goals and concerns of the company. This is a place in this family office where you can have a business incubator, for example. You can do startup things. Hey, one of the family members has an idea. Try it in the family office. See if it works. If it works and it takes off, you can spin it out, put it in a separate entity, and run it through a special purpose vehicle in other parts of the family structure. But you could try it here. And if it doesn't work and you try it and it bombs, well, guess what you have? Business deductions. So one of the software features of operating this thing now to get it to work in the family that you have to pay attention to is, yes, people can learn. Yes, they can make mistakes. No, we don't shame them or cast them off the island if they don't do everything perfectly. Those mistakes are learning opportunities. We want to give the family opportunities to grow. I happen to have a lot of children. My children are awesome, but I have learned with 8 children that each of them is very, very different. And what works for one won't work for another. What's good for one won't be good for another. So you have to give them opportunities to find out, oh, that's your skill set. Let's give you more of what you're good at and what you like. Let's give you less of what you hate and what keeps exploding in your face, And if they come back to the family council where they are loved, where they are cared for, where they are nurtured, where they have an environment where, yeah, that didn't go so well, let's figure out how to do that better next time, then they actually learn and they progress instead of getting stuck in a negative cycle or some bad behavior that is actually harmful to them individually and to the family as a whole. So now let's talk about level 4. I call this, I don't know, estate planning nirvana, multi-generational planning nirvana, where everything comes together. When you have this combination of the legal structure, which gives very specific tax and governance and compliance structure within which you can operate, and the software side, the family culture, the traditions, the roles, the leadership, the one generation training the next generation to train the next generation to train the next generation, this structure and the family alike become very robust, multi-generational wealth and family prosperity creating machines. You can't pass down an office that doesn't exist. So create the offices that you want in your family. Create traditions even, mechanisms, protocols, standard operating procedures around that office so family members know what to do, what is expected of them, and how they're going to be held accountable. So they not only learn what they need to do, but they learn how to train the people that are going to come after them. And I'm going to tell you a story that kind of relates to this. In a former life, I did a lot of scouting. And there was an event, it was a competition. I went to this event and I sat in my lawn chair and drank from my water bottle. And I never got out except to run into the trees for a few minutes. And while I was doing that, the young men, the youth, built a big tower. They built what we call a monkey bridge, a rope bridge. And they would occasionally come over and ask me questions. Should I do this or should I do that? And the young men did it all. Now, to get to that point where I could sit in the lawn chair, that took a year or more of training, of practice, of let's try this. This is how you do this. So all of that training and preparation made it so that when we got to the event, I could sit in my lawn chair and it just happened without me. And that's where ultimately you want your family and your business to be. So that when your hair is silver and white like mine, you're not micromanaging the next generation. You're sitting in your lawn chair and they come to you for counsel and advice, but they're running it without you. And that is glorious. And it comes from beginning. We're going to talk about finances. We're going to create a culture in our family. We're going to form some legal structures so that we have a framework within which to operate. We're going to learn how to use what we've got and how to use it effectively. And we're going to define roles. And then we're going to train so that when the crisis emerges, the family's prepared and able to handle it and take care of it. There are families that have dynasties that have lasted for hundreds and hundreds of years who have employed the ideas and the concepts and principles that we're talking about now. The earlier you start, the better. It's been my experience that nobody does this overnight. It's going to take some deliberation, some intention. In the guide that we're going to give you some very specific tools, some sample agendas, some scenarios of how those can be played out, how you might use that within a family. We're going to give you some tools to plan those out. We're going to give you some tools, for example, on how does the family office connect with other businesses, the family bank, with special purpose entities that you might have. How can we use tax devices like the Augusta rule to get some tax efficiency that might not otherwise be available if we're not keeping good records? So click on the link below. Get the free guide. It's free. Check it out. Learn something. Start that education process so by the time you actually do pull the trigger and set up a legal structure, you're ready to begin using it effectively.